ओम स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. My respectful namaskars to all the distinguished faculty and students assembled here for this session. Today's session is about, as you see, digital transformation and opportunities that we can have for social entrepreneurship. So we have done multiple projects, so we can see some case studies in Ramakrishna Matan Mission across all our centers in India. So the agenda, to start with, let us know what are humanity's greatest assets, and we will also look at the current demographics in India. We'll also see the technology adoptions by various non-profits, educational institutions, and what role do we need to play in this artificial intelligence age. Now, there is a greater need for R&D, research and development. So that is critical across all organizations. So for non-profits also it is becoming much more important. So we will also see that. Then we have created two labs, as Maharaj was telling. So you have the media lab at Ramakrishna Mat Chennai. There is also an artificial intelligence lab at Belur Mat Calcutta. So with these labs, how we have done the projects. And we will also see case studies with related to We Mind You, one app, and Narendra Smart Toy. These two we have developed. And also the transformation through emerging technologies. What are the new technologies which are coming up? So AI is one, Internet of Things is one, cognitive neuroscience, many updates are happening. We are working on that. So all those we will discuss that. Then finally, we'll conclude with a venture which is called Nachiketa Labs. So you can come to MUT and you can be part of this Nachiketa lab also. You can do an internship. We have multiple projects where we are working on, and it could be any field. It's not necessarily, it has to be like technology oriented. If it could be arts and music also, that also we have provisions to incorporate with AI and then work on it. So we'll see all those things. So first we'll see what are humanity's greatest assets. 25 years back, when we talk about assets, people, they tell about oil. Oil is one of the greatest assets in the world. Then you have the wireless spectrum. As this 3G, 4G came in, then this wireless spectrum was a great asset. Then it became the data. Many of you would be data science students. So data is one of the most greatest asset. But then earlier, our Ranganathanji Maharaj, the 13th president of Ramakrishna Order, he mentions in one of the lectures, in today's modern world, children or the younger generation are the humanity's greatest assets. It's not an object. It's us, the younger generation, are the humanity's greatest assets. So emotional well-being or the mental well-being, what you may know, is very much important nowadays, because we have the social media now, immense competition across all of the students, not only in education but also in sports, professional sports, immense competition is there, and a lot more worldly distractions are there. So because of this, life skills have to be taught. So what Maharaj wanted was the art of becoming and being a human. That is very critical. So if you see the India's population now, 372 million belong to the younger generation. So it is the highest in the world actually. So a demographic of this immense potential, but what we are seeing now is slowly a degradation, in the sense that you have the emotional well-being problems, mental crisis is there, social media induced anxiety, career uncertainty because of AI, all those things are there. So what do we do about it? If you also see the from the Western technological point of view also, or from the medical point of view, we just have 0.5 psychiatrists for 100,000 people. So even from there also we are failing. So the only solution is we want to have a preventive mental well-being. Rather than the disease coming and hitting upon us, we should have some preventive methods. So in order to understand the next generation, we as a spiritual organization have to be fluent in technology. So if you see this graph, usually technology adoption, even in a non-profit based, even an educational institution, it is kind of little bit outdated. It is not up to the modern or the cutting edge. Only the top 20 universities may have this kind of the cutting edge thing. But according to a scientist written in New Scientist, one magazine, so what she says is, in one of the interviews, example is the artificial intelligence. The AI systems should not just remain in the hands for the profit organizations. It should also be with the non-profit organizations, among the educational institutions especially. So we should be pioneering in all those things. So because as an educational institution, as a non-profit institution, we do not have hidden motives or bias, which a company would have. So that is very critical. So if you see the twin research labs, the RKM research labs, we have created one called the Media Lab, as I was telling. Then also the artificial intelligence, IoT and mixed reality. Because we feel these three technologies actually would pioneer for the next 10 to 15 years. So based on these three technologies, we have developed these labs. So what here we do is, we carry out applied research. It is not like research for research's sake, it is research for society's sake. So digital prototypes we kind of develop, and then we engage in challenges or hackathons, and then we also partner with industry if possible, so that the products from the prototypes are translated into the actual products which shall benefit the society. So there is also one more center called DTC. It has been created for the whole of Ramakrishna Mutton Mission. So DTC stands for Center for Digital Transformation. So what we have is, we have 4 technologies in mind. One is the Fintech, maybe some of the commerce students will be there. So you'll be knowing about the financial technologies. And of course, software technologies plays a big role. Then we have the media technologies. Now media is becoming one of the most important things in which the younger generation consume it or even develop content for it. And the final one is the emerging technologies, which are very new technologies, which are very nascent that are coming. So now with regards to the social entrepreneurship, yesterday I was hearing that you'll be starting an entrepreneurship cell at your own college. This is very, very important, because now the next generation, it is not always about getting a job and then being satisfied with it. It could be a government job, it could be a technical IT job. But more importantly, we have to start our own companies. So be ready for that. So because that is the requirement. When we had met Sridhar Vembu of Zoho Corporation in person, and Kamakoti sir, IIT director, these two, they were stressing this repeatedly. Don't be satisfied with just having a job and settle down. What you can do is, you have to start your own company. நீங்க வந்து உங்களுக்கு ஒரு கம்பெனியை ஆரம்பிக்கணும். அந்த மாதிரி you should be ready. Okay. So our goal is like, we developed all these prototypes and those technologies so that you can take it up. You can work here and then maybe start a social venture. So that company that you are starting should be for the benefit of the society. Initially it could be for a profit model, but ultimately you want to serve the society also. So keep both in mind. And there can be companies which are profitable and yet serve the society too. Okay. So when we innovate things, Swami Vivekananda gives a beautiful 3 laws, like Newton's 3 laws, he gives something which is very interesting. So what he says is, since the inception of the world, when the world is created itself, if you see, there has always been a struggle between 2 opposing forces. Everything. One is like in physics, if you take, it is always like centripetal and centrifugal force. In politics, if you take, it will be always like one liberal party will be there, one party will be very conservative. Labor, if you take, it will be like white collar jobs and then blue collar jobs. And even metaphysics or philosophy, in Chinese philosophy, you have the yin and yang. So if you see, there are always like 2 opposing forces which are already there. So human beings also, they have an uncanny capacity for innovations that can do a lot of benefit but also harm. Example, you take the nuclear fission, which was invented in the 1900s. What happened later, it became for creating atomic bombs also. At the same time, it could produce electricity also. So as with any innovation, we see that there will be always one human race supporting it and another part of the human race opposing it. So even in the generative AI, the ChatGPT, so AI, you will see that one group will be supporting, yes, we have to be very progressive, and another group warning us, this artificial intelligence will actually make our jobs get lost. So there will be always 2 opposing forces. So this, we have to accept it, take a balanced position, and then know how to move forward. Okay. The second law, it is called ROAR, we call it. What actually it means is, whenever you do an innovation, நீங்கள் ஃபஸ்ட்டு ஏதாவது ஒரு ப்ராஜெக்ட் புதுசாக ஆரம்பித்து நியூவாக பண்ணிங்கன்னா, then there will be always ridicule. உங்களை எல்லாரும் கேலி செய்வாங்க. So there will be always ridicule will be there. Next, you will have to face opposition. Lot of opposition will be there. Then finally, after many years, then you will get acceptance. And along with it, there will be a respect also. So each man who thinks well ahead, he will be surely misunderstood. So this is one key point that you have to keep in mind. Then the third law is very simple. You need to have patience, perseverance, which we already know. But Swami Vivekananda also says purity, which is very difficult, but still you need to maintain that. Patience, perseverance and purity. So these three have to be there for greater things to be done. So now we'll look at the actual project, some of it. So for example, the Fintech. So if you are in commerce students, you would have known the accounting software actually. So traditionally there has been a lot of accounting software, example which we have custom developed, or Tally would be there, all those. Now slowly we are moving into a model called software as a service model, which you may be aware of in conjunction with artificial intelligence. So in our Ramakrishna Mutton Mission also, accounting has been very difficult for us. So now we are in partnering with Zoho Corporation for the Zoho books, so that the accounting part becomes easier for us. In India has the largest number of non-profit organizations, yet there is no one single accounting software, a good software for our non-profits. So that is the reason we are developing, and not only it will benefit us, it will benefit all the non-profits also. So this is regarding the financial technologies. Next we'll see the emerging technologies and the media technologies. So in emerging technologies, the first thing is during COVID time, as Maharaj also just pointed about the VMindU app. So I'll briefly explain. VMindU app is to protect the emotional well-being of the younger generation, especially the underprivileged students during the COVID-19 lockdown. So what we did was basically a digital workflow to identify the emotional well-being of the children through facial analysis. Face is the index of the mind. நம்ம சொல்லுவாங்கல்ல, முகத்தை பார்த்தாலே நம்மளுக்கு அந்த பர்சனோட எமோஷன்ஸை கண்டுபிடிக்க முடியும்ட்டு. ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி ஃபேஸ் இஸ் த இண்டெக்ஸ் ஆஃப் தி மைண்ட். ஸோ அது மூலமாக வி கேன் ஐடென்டிஃபை, ஓ திஸ் பர்சன் இஸ் எமோஷனலி நோ டல் டுடே. இப்போ உங்கள் ஃபேஸை வச்சே ஒரு கேமரா வந்துச்சுன்னா அந்த ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் வச்சுட்டு வி கேன் டிட்டர்மின். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி வி யூஸ் த லேட்டஸ்ட் டெக்னிக்ஸ் டு டூ தட். இஃப் வி ஃபைண்ட் the person has negative emotions and all those, then what we do, we adopt the ancient Indian techniques. Example, meditation, yoga, and the mari older or the ancient Indian technologies which we use. Then afterwards, to verify it, what we do is we use the neural sensors and all those to verify whether the person, his emotions have improved or not. So using this, we created a small app during the COVID time. So this app was done with a low-code platform called QuickBase in Boston, and it won in the international hackathon $35,000. And the real eye-opener was one of the judges. He pinpointed something about the app. He told, although you have used a lot of technologies, cutting edge and all those, but still there was a human element in it. So that made it the best app. So you can see a short video now of that VMindU app.
initial lockdown provided necessities like free food and clothing. India has the largest child population in the world with 472 million children. COVID-19 lockdown has significantly impacted 40 million children from poor families. These children come from marginalized families affected due to poverty, social inequality, alcohol addiction, education, and digital divide. Not-for-profit organizations in India, such as Ramakrishna Mutt, during the initial lockdown, provided necessities like free food and clothing, free health checkup, remote classes to satisfy the essential needs of these underprivileged kids. However, a growing number of concerns related to emotional health, such as anxiety, stress, loneliness of these children, have accelerated due to the lockdown. We at Media Lab felt the need to monitor the emotional health of children using scientific methods and go for a time-tested preventive intervention that aids in their overall well-being. Scientific studies in major research journals have established that traditional practices like meditation and yoga contributed to a better emotional well-being among children across cultures. In association with Ramakrishna Mutt, we collaborated with one of their rural child welfare units for a pilot experimental project. We developed an app called We Mind You app, intended for rural unit coordinators who run this emotional well-being program for kids within the unit. We Mind You app provides a digital workflow to identify the emotional well-being of children through facial analysis and a subjective questionnaire, empower them with integrated body-mind training techniques like yoga and meditation, and finally, verify the improvement in their emotional well-being using neural correlates.
And finally, the big grand prize best of show winner, I'd like to ask Armel to talk to us about who brought home the hardware, the number one top prize in our $250,000 QuickBase hackathon.
All right, I had the privilege to judge all the amazing submissions, and many times I was blown away by the creativity and the scope of the solutions. This particular submission stood out to me very specifically as someone working in the tech industry and also as a parent, because it really signifies the embodiment of the power of technology to solve incredibly complex human problems. Its mission is to help millions of children and have a significant impact on their lives. And the solution that this team came up with uses a plethora of technologies that work seamlessly together to assess the emotional well-being of underprivileged children and allow the people helping them to focus on their most pressing needs. The children are assessed by a variety of ways: non-invasive neural scans, facial emotional analysis, and the questionnaires. And the QuickBase application provides a powerful yet simple way to collect the data, summarize it, and visualize it, which allows the coordinators working with these children to focus on those most in need and also tailor the help to each child.
I can kind of share my thoughts on Remind You. I definitely thought it was really, really innovative and cool to how they just integrated the tools that they use in general to capture this data regarding mental health and mental wellness, and linking that back through, I think, the use of Azure to QuickBase, and just being able to capture all of those data points that in themselves are just numbers, but like they tell a story about each individual child. And so I thought that was definitely meaningful, but just a mixture of both the automation and the human touch of obviously the counselors being able to look at that data and then come up with an action plan to help those kids. Is just amazing.
So I'm extremely honored and privileged to present our first prize going to Remind You emotional well-being of kids during COVID-19. Congratulations, team. Really well done.
Yeah, congratulations. That's just great. We're so thrilled to bestow the first place award to this team. It was just absolutely a tremendous.
So we took the We Mind You app, which was developed, and kind of morphed it into something called a smart toy, Narendra smart toy, which we call it. so that it is accessible to the children. Meanwhile, Indian government was conducting a toy-kathon where indigenous toys were all imported from China. Most of the toys in the market, it is coming from China almost. So how to prevent it? Can we make our own indigenous toys? So that was the question. So we created this toy. So it is called a smart toy, a role-based toy based on Narendra. Vivekananda's earlier name Narendra. So other vachittu we created a smart toy. So adukulla or camera we have fixed it, and what it does is it analyzes the emotional well-being of the person. So instead of a classroom setup and the camera being there, this Narendra smart toy itself will be able to observe our emotions. So using facial and voice analysis, we were trying to detect the emotions, and then after we find, okay, if a person has some negative emotions, then again the smart toy teaches us little bit of meditation. It tells us stories and all those. So this is mainly for the children which we have employed. So again, this was we participated in the toy-kathon in Government of India organized it, and we went to Delhi and we got the first prize in the out of the box creative and logical thinking category. The next project, which is a very very interesting and also cutting edge. So இன்னைக்கு பாத்தீங்கன்னா நம்ம மொபைல் ஃபோன் ப்ராமினெண்டா யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். Next 5 years or 8 years, the mobile phone will always be in our pocket. Meaning அதை எடுத்து பார்க்கணும்னு அவசியமே இருக்காத மாதிரி இருக்கும். ஏன்னா slowly our glasses are becoming, பாத்தீங்கன்னா நிறைய பேர் ஸ்பெக்ஸ் வேர் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க, அதுலேயே it becomes like a smart glass. So smart glass will be the next big thing that is going to come. So அதை எப்படி நல்ல வழியில் யூஸ் பண்ணணும். ஸோ அதுக்கு this project was there. We call it Samsmriti Darshanam. What this means is like how we can transform நம்ம Indian knowledge systems, நம்ம ancient Indian culture, how we can bring it for again mental well-being using artificial intelligence and mixed reality. இந்த ரெண்டு டெக்னாலஜி வச்சு how we can improve it. So yoga and Vedanta, இங்கே நான் கேள்விப்பட்டிருப்பீங்க. So that it's actually the prominent pillars of the Indian knowledge systems. So Swami Vivekananda beautifully says, I have been asked to say something about practical position of the Vedanta philosophy. Theory is very good indeed, but how we are going to carry it in practice? If it is absolutely impracticable, no theory is of any value and it is just intellectual gymnastics. The Vedanta must be intensely practical. We must be able to practice it or carry out in practice in our daily life. அதனால தான் சொல்லுவாங்களே வரட்டு வேதாந்தம்பாங்க, அது இருக்கக்கூடாது. நம்மளுக்கு எப்படி ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணணும், அதுக்கு இந்த ஸ்மார்ட் கிளாஸ் உதவுமான. எஸ், we have come up with a plan. So the conception behind this project is you have the negative emotions such as your stress, anxiety, anger, which happens in your daily social interactions, which is happening in everyday life. So using a multitude of sensors, various sensors, எப்படின்னா உங்க வாட்ச், ஸ்மார்ட் வாட்ச், your rings, tomorrow a lot of devices will be there. This will be able to identify all your emotions. Then once we have the objective aspect of it, these sensors actually measure all those. But then you want the subjective aspect. Subjective aspect na ungalukulla irukkiradhu, ulla irukka emotions eppadi we write maybe a diary or a journal. From there we analyze. We write some text messaging. With privacy and all those policies employed, we are able to analyze. So using all those we analyze, and then we find out if a person is really angry or something. Then a scriptural verse in your smart glass itself will come. Oh, Bhagavad Gita, one verse may come. Or if you're not interested in the audio form of it or in the written text or the verse form of it, a story, a short 30-second video will be played for you. So that will actually help you in reducing your anger. So this is some cutting edge technology. So this, you can see these are the steps which we are following. It is more on the technical side. Then we can now see a short video of how it works actually. So we kind of bring in Sri Ramakrishna's or story. Other we brought in the smart video. So you can see that small video. So this project is also selected in the second round in Government of India. It is a 5 crore project. So we'll see the results soon. The next interesting thing is about meditation quotient. So if you see, we try to meditate and all those, but it has always been நம்ம கொஞ்ச நேரம் மெடிடேட் பண்ணுவோம், அப்புறம் பார்த்தா பாதி நேரம் தூங்கிட்டு தான் இருப்போம், இல்லைன்னா மைண்ட் வாண்டரிங்கில் இருப்போம். இது ரெண்டு தான் நடக்குது. ஸோ கேன் வி ஹாவ் எ டிவைஸ் ஆர் சம்திங் விச் கேன் மெஷர் த குவாலிட்டி ஆஃப் த மெடிடேஷன்? ஸோ டெஃபினட்டாக சப்ஜெக்டிவாக பண்ணுறது கஷ்டம், பட் அட்லீஸ்ட் அப்ஜெக்டிவ்லி we can measure it or not. So that is the question we have. So what we are trying to lean on here is we will try to measure the distraction markers, which, as I was telling you, the drowsy state or the sleep state and also the mind wandering state. So if you can measure this one with all the senses, so in 60 minutes if you are trying or attempting to meditate, then we can find out, 20 minutes your mind is wandering, and another 20 minutes you have slept, and remaining 20 minutes you actually are trying to meditate. So that is the idea behind this one. So this is a theoretical project, but still we are applying because a lot of complexities are there and we are working on it. The next one is the generative AI, which already many will be familiar with. So you're using either ChatGPT or Gemini or your Claude for all your work. So what we want here is Swami Vivekananda's life and message, it is already there. But if we ask the question in Gemini or something, actually we may get some inaccurate results. நம்மளுக்கு சுவாமி விவேகானந்தரோட லைஃப்ல இருந்து சில டைம் தப்பான ரிசல்ட் வரும். ஏன்னா most of the information is coming from Wikipedia and all those. But we want accurate information. So for that we use a model called RAG. So with that we are planning to create something called Illam. Illam is like home to AI and LLM. It's a word play which we have. So how we can do it? For that we are using the RAG system and trying to do on-device AI. So where we have a self-hosted and instead of running on the cloud, it will run on our own self-hosted platform, and on Apple Mac processor we are trying it. You can come and see in the lab. With that we can ask any question related to Swami Vivekananda, then it will be able to answer it. So this is one interesting project which we are working on. The next one is 3D scanning. You would be aware of all the photos which are taken, but it is in completely 2D. So how we can scan this whole campus in 3D? இப்போ உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது ஒரு old archives ஏதாவது இருந்துச்சுன்னா, we can completely scan that in the 3-dimensional form. So if you see Swami Vivekananda's objects, many of the objects used by Vivekananda, it is in there in Belur Mutt. So those have to be preserved. So in order to do that, we want to scan it in 3-dimensional format, because one is the accuracy of a 3D scan is much better than the 2D version. So the inspiration for this 3D scan comes from the short video which appeared in BBC when Russia tried to attack Ukraine just a few months back. What Ukraine did was, they know that all their heritage buildings and all those will be lost. So can we still preserve our culture? So to do that, they have done the 3D scanning. You can see this video.
Of buildings and the loss of culture and history that comes with that.
Since the start of the war, UNESCO says almost 200 historic sites have been damaged.
But what can't be saved physically can be saved virtually. Now, over the years, we've looked at different ways of preserving buildings digitally, and now that technology is being used for a very urgent task, as Alastair Keane has been finding out.
Across Ukraine, hundreds of buildings have stood for years as important cultural sites. But through the war, many have gone from this to this. Their architectural wonders becoming piles of rubble.
Every day they destroy something really important in terms of cultural heritage. For example, so yesterday in my native Kharkiv, there were shellings, and today as well, there were shellings of the central area of the city. And as far as I know, some historical monuments and buildings have been damaged. And of course, it's also very important to preserve the heritage and also to tell the next generations about that.
Now Eugene's company is helping to get high-powered scanners and training to the right people, so they can create these incredibly detailed 3D scans. They hope it can be used at a later date to create exact replicas, or in different ways in museums to display the history that has been lost in its physical sense. Some of the technology they're using is already in use here at the British Museum in London. They use it to scan objects, allowing detailed replicas to be made, or to help the experts to study them further. One of the scanners is the Artec Leo. It may be small, but this is a powerful device and has a big price tag. It costs more than €26,000, but has been donated to the project for free.
The device has a few sensors and it has a projector. Projector projects some pattern onto the object, and this pattern is being deformed by the geometry of the object. Then using this distortion, you can reconstruct the 3D. And then the algorithm in real time tries to understand how to match them perfectly using the color and geometry, and then it sticks everything together and you get the 360 degree model of the object.
The scanner that you saw, that one scanner cost 35 lakhs, and we got selected for a final presentation in Pune, where the founder of Param Supercomputer, actually he interviewed us, and 60 institutions were invited. Then we got selected and we were awarded 83 lakhs, $100,000 for this whole funding. So with that, we are able to do all those 3D scans. So if you come to MUT, you can see the scanner. So what are the advantages of using the scanner? Once we do it, we can integrate this and map it in Google Earth actually. So if you see, these are the objects, and you can map it in this Google Earth in 3D, and you can navigate through it. And the other advantages in the future, when smart glasses come prominently, once you wear the smart glass with the GPS, you'll be, if you were going to that place where Swami Vivekananda's certain objects are there, then more information about that object will be visible on your smart glass itself. So that is our ultimate plan. So this is the goal that we are trying for. The next one is the digital media. When you see the digital media transformation, with respect to media content, when the younger generation, they see high quality movies, like example your Hollywood content, which are secular in nature, and when they see our spiritual content, when we create with a lesser quality, the problem is they think, oh, this spiritual content is of lower quality and those are of the higher quality. In order to avoid that, what we tried was Vivekananda's life and message. We wanted to create a high quality content. If not match the Disney and Universal Studios and the Hollywood quality, at least a part of it. So that has been our goal. If you have visited Vivekananda Illam, we have done some 3D and 4D immersive shows. And the next version is going to come, which will be 8K resolution, which you can watch it using even Apple Vision Pro. That Apple Vision Pro device is their virtual reality device. You can watch it with that also. So it is a very high quality experience. Definitely you can go to Illam and see. So there are two experiences. One is the Vivekananda House VR experience. The next one is the Yama Nachiketa experience. Both I would suggest, I will not explain it. You can go there and see it. And these are some of the 3D models that we have created, like on Holy Mother, a high resolution 8K, this one. It is not a photo, it is a real model. And the second one is the frog scene, which comes in the Parliament of Religions. Swami Vivekananda gives an example. Then the next one is the Shankaracharyas. Those are also there. And with AI, artificial intelligence coming in, now much of the work has been transformed actually. So we have created a hyper-realistic video just few months back using completely generated through artificial intelligence. You can see the quality of this, the frames that has been generated through AI. Yes, you can play the video. see this one video, it's completely generated using artificial intelligence. There has been no camera shooting or anything. Just by prompts and using the right model and with the right editing, we are able to create such videos. So using this one, what we are planning is, there is also this concept of immersive audio and immersive video. Can we use artificial intelligence for accessibility? Meaning people with visually challenged or hearing impaired and all those people, how we can deploy AI for them. So that has been the goal. So we wanted to have something called Netravani, which we call. So Netravani is about redefining Indian storytelling with the power of immersive audio and generative AI for the visually challenged people. Meaning visually challenged people themselves can create this kind of an immersive audio. It is the technology behind this is called Dolby Atmos. What it basically means is you close your eyes. If you hear the audio, conventionally it will be through our 2 ears, which is our stereo audio. You see the next slide. It is a 60 years old technology. 1960 it has been invented and still 2020 we have been using this stereo. Slowly post 2020, there is something called Dolby Atmos, which you would have heard in theaters like a surround sound. But this is a 360 sound. It's not just a surround sound where different parts, example, you take Sri Ramakrishna's life where a Ganges water is flowing. Literally you will be feeling in your brain that the Ganges water is flowing down. Or if the birds are cooing, then you will also feel that the birds are singing from a certain distance. The temple bells are ringing, you can feel it at a distance. So this is the power of immersive audio. And it is really amazing technology. And we want visually challenged people to create such immersive media. It is not just the people with regular abilities, but with mixed abilities we want. So that has been the goal for the Netravani project. And we want to use Indian stories, not the Western stories to be there. So Indian stories such as Ramayana, Mahabharata or your Panchatantra can be in this immersive audio format. So that has been the goal. And we will see the spatial audio, what it means, 360 audio. There is a small video which we'll play.
Many of the major music streaming services are now offering new spatial music playlists with more immersive versions of some of your favorite music. The new music format is called Dolby Atmos Music, and some view it as important an innovation as the advent of stereo music recordings in the 1960s.
Unlike stereo, which combines all of the music into left and right audio channels, Dolby Atmos Music separates various instruments and vocals and moves them between and around the two channels. What's the difference if we were listening to this in traditional stereo with two speakers?
So when you have two speakers, you have to make all of the sound come from those two locations, a left and a right. And in a record, there's a lot of sound going on. Well, in Dolby Atmos, you have much more space. So as you spread them out into different locations, it allows each of them to shine more authentic, more detailed, greater clarity of sound.
Unlike other major audio evolutions requiring many years for creators to adopt and consumers to access, most people who bought a new cellular phone, tablet, computer, or TV in the past 4 years already have access to the Dolby Atmos music technology.
So in order to do all this, we have also created a small lab for the children and also for the younger people, like people studying like you, studying in colleges and they want to do an internship. It is called the Nachiketa lab. So what we do here is we call it the STEAM labs, like science, technology, engineering, arts, your painting or music. If you want to do some projects also, you can do it here. Then MS for medicine or mathematics is there. So combining all those things, we want to create, and we want an offline. I mean, you come there and actively participate there. So that option is there. So this has been created. This is also called the Knowledge Labs. It is the first lab in our order at Chennai Mutt, and it employs informal learning. It is not like your formal learning where in classes if you attend, then the learning kind of after a certain time gets inhibited. So here it is a free atmosphere. You come informally, schedule the time according to your convenience and then be there. And then it is a community-based mentoring. There is not like a faculty who will kind of teach you. So there will be a community-based where people among you in groups, you can come and then learn with each other. and it is free from parental or peer pressure. Too much pressure in doing one work? No. Here we are free from the parental pressure and also free from social media so that we can focus on the projects. So what we have seen is people, when they come to our Vivekananda College or MUT, generally what happens is we think they want peace of mind and all those things. But what ultimately they want is a feel of purpose. In CNN and New York Times, one article had come where they find the younger generation across the world, actually related to suicide and all those, has been increasing because of they don't find a purpose. It is not just lack of peace, but lack of happiness, but there is no purpose in their work. So in order to avoid that, what we are trying is to give them a purpose, a direction. That is all we can do, because every person has his own potential and they can come outside. So the only thing is we just be a witness and then unveil it. So using this Nachiketa lab, we can actually do that. So the goal of all these things, if you see this digital transformation or the social entrepreneurship and everything, is to change ourselves. So that has been the goal. It is not just digital transformation for digital transformation. So the ultimate transformation is like our own self-transformation. So that has been the objective all along. Yes, thank you.